Shalom everyone, welcome to Around the World. If you are new in this channel, please don't forget to subscribe. Also, this video is the third part of the Holy Land series, and I suggest that you go back to the first and second videos before you listen to this teaching. Thank you. As we said in our previous study, the Holy Land was given to Abraham and his descendants as gift from God to be ruled and enjoyed. But they ruled none of it since the captivity. In the time of Christ, the land was under the rule of Roman Empire from 63 BC to 324 AD. Then the Byzantine Empire on 325, followed by the Sassanid Persian on 613. Then Byzantine again on 625. The Arab came on 636, followed by the Umayyad Caliphs from Syria on 661. Then the Abbasid Caliphate from Baghdad on 750. Then the Fatimid Caliph from Tunisia on 969. Then the Seljuk Turks on 1077. Under Seljuk's domination, Christians were persecuted. Churches and monasteries were closed, while others were destroyed, including the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. But it was rebuilt by the local Christians under stringent circumstances. Pilgrimage was permitted, but many stories began to circulate in Europe about the cruelty of the Seljuk towards Christian pilgrims. And these rumors played an important role in the development to launch the Crusades. The Byzantine Emperor Alexius I sent delegation to Pope Urban for help to defend his empire against the Seljuks. In response, the Pope called upon all Christians on November 1095 at the Council of Clermont to join a war against the Turks. He set in motion a preaching campaign across Europe which appealed to Western nobles and knights to sharpen their swords and get themselves over to the Holy Land to defend the most precious site of the Christendom. He called to save the Holy Land and establish the Kingdom of Jerusalem. This is a war which would count as full penance that the defense of Christianity and holy sites brought a remission of sins and a fast-track route to heaven. Many people joined, while others were compelled to follow their lords, and for few, a chance to gain wealth or travel and see the great holy sites. And these motivations would continue to guarantee large numbers of recruits throughout all subsequent campaigns. Against all odds, the Crusaders captured Antioch on June 1098, then Jerusalem on July 1099, with a great slaughter and victory, massacring people and sacking several cities on their way. Godfrey of Bouillon became the first ruler of the Kingdom of Jerusalem, followed by King Baldwin I in 1100. The Knights of the Temple were founded, and King Baldwin granted the Templar a home and headquarters in Al-Aqsa Mosque, naming it Solomon's Temple. They distinguished it from the Dome of the Rock, which they named Templum Domini, or Temple of God, under the care of the Augustinians. In 1187, the city of Jerusalem was lost to Saladin, Sultan of Egypt and Syria, and the capital kingdom of Jerusalem was moved in the north to Acre in 1191. The mosques were taken back, and a new mosque, the Mosque of Umar, was built outside the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, commemorating Umar's victory on 636 AD. But then, Jerusalem was recaptured by the Christians on 1229, putting Jerusalem back to Christianity. In 1252, the Mongol Empire began to expand, reaching Syria and Palestine. The Nestorian Christian general Kitbuga led the Mongols' army to advance his army against the fortresses in Persia, Baghdad, and Damascus, reaching Jerusalem. For the first time, The Franco-Mongol alliance between Louis IX of France and Hulagu Khan of Mongolia became a powerful force in the region. It was said that Christians held the Holy Land in peace and in state of rest, but with the death of Mongke Khan in Mongolia, the Mongols' army was reduced in the region, while Ketbuga was killed in the battle on 1260. On 1291, the Mamluk Sultanate of Egypt invaded Acre, and the entire Holy Land, including Jerusalem, had fallen to Mamluk Sultan Baybars, ending the Crusades in the Holy Land. The Mamluk allowed Jewish and Christian settlement in the land, and the Al-Aqsa and Dome of the Rock were converted back into an Islamic center of worship. On the same period, Rabbi Moses ben Nachman, chief rabbi in Catalonia, Spain, commonly known as Nachmanides or Ramban, left Europe following the disputation concerning Jewish-Christian religious debate in Barcelona. He went to Palestine to spend the last year of his life. He built the Ramban synagogue in the old city of Jerusalem and reestablished Jewish communal life in the city. As the Mamluk controlled the Holy Land, they made a strategic decision to destroy the coastal areas and its ports in Tyre, Gaza, Acre, Caesarea, making them inoperable. To prevent attacks from the sea, given the fear of the return of the Crusaders. In 1347, the Black Death, also known as bubonic plague, reached Egypt from Europe, transmitted by sea from Constantinople from a single merchant ship carrying slaves. Year later, the pandemic spread, infecting Gaza, Jerusalem, Acre, Damascus, Aleppo, and all areas of Mamluk Sultanate, killing millions of the population. During the recovery period, people saw the construction of many schools and the renovation of mosques neglected or destroyed during the Crusader period. In 1382, Palestine was celebrated by Arab and Muslim writers of the time as the blessed land of the prophets and Islam's revered leaders. Muslim sanctuaries were rediscovered and received many Muslim pilgrims from around the world, and allowing even both Jews and Christians to visit the land. In May 1453, the Turkish Ottoman Empire, led by Mehmed the Conqueror, conquered Constantinople and killed Constantine XI, to the destruction and collapse of the Byzantine Empire. He took the church of Hagia Sophia, which was built by Emperor Justinian on 537 AD, and converted into a mosque. Nevertheless, Mehmed allowed the Greek Orthodox Church to maintain its autonomy and land in exchange for accepting the Ottoman authority, including the church in Palestine. In 1486, hostilities broke out between Egyptian Mamluks and the Turkish Ottoman in a battle for control over the region. The Ottoman proceeded to conquer Palestine following their 1516 victory over the Mamluks. The Ottoman maintained the administrative and political organization that the Mamluks left in Palestine. They maintained public order and domestic security, allowing taxes and regulating the economy, religious affairs, and social welfare. Various public works were undertaken in Palestine, such as the rebuilding of the walls of Jerusalem by Suleiman the Magnificent in 1537. He decided to rebuild the city walls fully to protect the city from the coming invaders. Part of these walls were rebuilt on top of the ancient biblical walls, and they are the walls that exist today. Internal strife could not be avoided, and Arab Muslims, Jews, and Christian populations complained about the seizure of properties and injustices. Turks disregard the sanctity of all places of worship, including the Temple Mount, so that uprising arose from time to time until 1705. In February 1798, Emperor Napoleon of France entered Palestine after conquering Egypt as part of his campaign against the Ottomans, who were allied with his enemy, the British Empire. He occupied Gaza and moved north along Palestine's coastal plain, capturing Jaffa, now Tel Aviv, where his forces massacred some 3,000 Ottoman troops who had surrendered and many civilians. His forces then captured Haifa and used it as a staging ground for their siege of Acre, calling for Jewish support to capture Jerusalem. But he failed to conquer Acre, and his defeat by Ottoman forces, backed by the British, compelled him to withdraw from Palestine with heavy losses on May 1799. In 1840, amid threats from the outside and strife from the inside, the Ottoman authority was fully reestablished in Palestine. For centuries, the Jews and Christians had enjoyed a large degree of communal autonomy in matters of worship, personal status, taxes, and in managing their school and charitable institution. In the middle of 19th century, a movement to recreate a Jewish state in Palestine and return the original homeland to the Jewish people had awakened the hearts of the Jewish community in Europe. Theodor Herzl was the founder of the modern Zionist movement. In his 1986 book titled The Junsta, he envisioned the founding of a future independent Jewish state, comparing his vision to the Maccabees. The movement became popular, and many Jewish people migrated to Palestine. The first wave of migration, or Aliyah, were mostly from Eastern Europe and Yemen, that started from 1881 to 1903. Eliezer ben Yehuda made his effort to revive the Hebrew language and establish it as standard language for the Jews in the Holy Land. He created the first modern Hebrew dictionary. In 1914, the First World War erupted that led to mobilization of millions of military personnel, making it one of the largest wars in history and described as the war to end all wars. The Ottoman Empire sided with Germany that embroiled them in a conflict with Great Britain. In October 1918, the Ottomans signed an armistice with Great Britain and quit the war. Shortly thereafter, the British Foreign Minister Arthur Balfour issued the Balfour Declaration of 1917, which promised to establish a Jewish national home in Palestine. It was seen by Jewish nationalists as the cornerstone of a future Jewish homeland. On December 9, 1917, Field Marshal Edmund Allenby captured Jerusalem and occupied the entire land following the defeat of the Ottoman. He was greeted by the Christians, Jewish, and Islamic leaders of the city. Great Britain administered Palestine on behalf of the League of Nations between 1920 and 1948, a period referred to as the British Mandate. In 1933, Adolf Hitler came to power in Germany, and many Jews emigrated to Palestine to flee persecution under the new Nazi regime. However, many Arab people in Palestine protested against this mass Jewish immigration. In 1939, the White Paper was issued by the British government led by Neville Chamberlain, calling for the establishment of the Jewish national home in an independent Palestinian state within 10 years, rejecting the idea of partitioning Palestine. Both Arab and Zionist groups rejected the idea. In the same year, the Second World War broke out. The Jewish community sided with Great Britain. David Ben-Gurion, head of the Jewish Agency, was supported by his people. On June 10, 1940, Italy declared war on the British Commonwealth and sided with Germany. The Italians attacked Palestine from the air, bombing Tel Aviv and Haifa. During the war, approximately 6 million Jews, including children, around two-thirds of Europe's Jewish population murdered, carried out in pogroms and mass shooting by a policy of extermination through work in concentration camps and in gas chambers in Auschwitz and other occupied Poland. It is popularly known as the Holocaust. After the war, on November 29, 1947, the United Nations General Assembly, voting 33 to 13 in favor with 10 abstention, adopted Resolution 181 recommending a partition with the Economic Union of Mandatory Palestine to follow the termination of the British Mandate. The plan was to partition Palestine into an independent Arab state alongside the Jewish states. Zionist leaders accepted the plan, while Palestinian Arab leaders rejected it and all independent Muslim and Arab states voted against it. Almost immediately, sectarian violence erupted and spread, killing hundreds of Arabs, Jews, and British over the ensuing month. On May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion and the Jewish People's Council declared the establishment of a Jewish state in Eretz Israel, the land of Israel, to be known as the State of Israel. The neighboring Arab state intervened to prevent the partition and support the Palestinian Arab population, while Transjordan and Egypt took control of territory designated for the future Arab state. Syrian and Iraqi expeditionary forces attacked Israel without success. The most intensive battles were waged between the Jordanian and Israeli forces over the control of Jerusalem. Thank you for watching. I hope that those information will help you to search for more on your spiritual journey. Please leave your comments. I would love to hear that from you guys. If you haven't subscribed yet to this channel, please hit subscribe so that you could receive notification on my next digital teachings. Just a reminder, always be safe and be with Jesus Christ, who is the Lord and Savior of our lives. See you again for the next part of this teaching. God bless.